John?
I am doing very well. It seems there was a lot of optimism around this mid-year budget review. First of all, your own observations before we come to some of the criticisms we've been hearing of the budget.
You have criticisms?
Yes, especially from a new patriotic party.
Oh, no, don't expect them to applaud this budget. That's why they couldn't sit down for the presentation to be done. Let me quickly take and greet all the viewers and those who are hearing you this morning for the morning show. To tell you about the budget performance of the 2025 budget statement and the fiscal policy of the government that we had in last March, and it has been reviewed at the end of June. That's the media. That is statutory. That is how every government runs. It's mandatory on the government to come to Parliament to at least give a presentation on the budget performance, and we did that last week. And it was wonderful. You see the figures within the budget, which has not been challenged. You can talk about it, but you can't challenge the figures. It tells you that the economy is on track. And the figures we have in it are historic and unprecedented, simply because it has never happened within the first 6 months of every government that has come to play. You see, within the first 3 months, the economy grew by 5.3%. When you compare rightly about my people, they are complaining, it was 4.9 within their era, which I think the government has done well. When we talk about even the component of the group, talk about agricultural sector, also developed seriously, gone up with 6.6% increment. That tells you that agriculture within the sector, within the real economy, is also growing. We talk about the inflation. See, inflation, that drives the economy. That inflation, that gives hope to the people. Talks about the standard of living of the people. Also did well from 23.8% as of December 2024 to 13.7% in June. You see, that is wonderful. That's unprecedented. We talk about even when we go into detail of the inflation figure, to tell you that the food inflation, that is common. Food inflation, that helps the people to be able to live well, also reduced from 27.8% down to 16.3%. And no one is challenging this figure. We talk about the average lending rate in the country. It hovers around 27%. That's why the fact that, you see, that's wonderful. That's why the fact that the Bank of Ghana, with respect to the MPC, monetary policy, committee's rate, is about 28. So if it is between 30.3% to 27% at the market, the government is managing the monetary sector well. Now the fiscal deficit that we anticipated that at the end of the year you hit around 1.8%. Gentlemen, it hovers within 0.7% of fiscal deficit. Your expenditure, your revenue expenditure. You see, so these are certain things we are talking about. We're also talking about the exchange development, unprecedented. This one, nobody talks about it. You go to the market, you see it. The dollar appreciated at the end of June, about 42.6% against the US dollar, 30.3% against the pound sterling, and above all, about 25.6% against the euro, which some of us, businessmen, trade with the European country. So it's a good thing we are observing. You see, imported inflation. You see, he virtually imports everything in this country. Like I was telling you that we even import toothpick. You see, so if imported inflation has also decreased from 18% down to 12.5% as of June 2025. Gentlemen, we are doing well. We are talking of the primary balance. Primary balance talks about how the government or let me say the government will be able to solve certain problems within the long run. That is why we don't add payment of interest rate when we're calculating the primary balance. The primary balance as at now is 1.1% of GDP. So it is very wonderful. Wonderful. Then this indicator is very, 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 very well. It's very, very good to look at the sustainability of the long run and can meet external shocks in the near future. So I can go on and talk about the economic indices that was presented to the House. You see, one thing I would like to talk about it is the gross national reserves of the government. Very necessary. You see, now, you realize that we are hitting 4.8 months of import cover, which is around $11.12 billion gross national reserves. That is very, very, very important. We talk about initially, let me even chip in this. The budget program that at least we hit 4.8 months of import cover. Now we are at 4.8 months of import cover. So we've done extra 0.8% of import cover. That's very, 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 very remarkable. We had a surplus trade balance. Seriously, surplus trade balance, which was mostly driven by gold and cocoa. So we are doing so much well. The surplus is, I think, is about 5.57 billion as of June. You see, when you compare to our people who are complaining, it's about 1.37 billion in June 2024. So this government actually has done well. The current accounts also gave a balance, a surplus balance. Provisionally, what we have is about 3.44 billion. Yes, previously. Now we have about 283.11 million in June 2024. I'm talking about what we had in 2024. When you put this into this, you compare this within the same period. So we are doing well. The economy is doing well. Then we can go on and talk about the economic figures. So what we are saying is that this government is doing well. Let me come back to I'm not giving so much, but let me tell you about the debt portfolio, the debt overhang of this country. We talk about 226.7 billion cedis at the end of 2024. Now, when you speak today, it's 613 billion. You see, this is not magic. This is about managing the monetary and the fiscal policies of the government. Well, it's not magic. So we have been able to bring down our debt overhang by 113.7 billion. We brought down. You see, that's wonderful. These figures, we cannot challenge it. Within that, let's talk about debt to GDP ratio. At the end of 2024, it stood at 61.8%. Debt to GDP ratio is a very, very strong indicator. 61.8%. It has been brought down to 43.8% between December 2024 to June 2025. Only 6 months. What does this mean? Let us educate ourselves a bit. The debt to GDP ratio measures the net worth of a country. The net worth of a country. What is the worth of Ghana? You have this. You also owe people. So when you take what you owe from what you have, they'll give you the worth of you. You see? So what we are saying is that within the era of the MPP, when they were ending their term, the worth of this country was 38.2%. Within the first 6 months, it has driven to 56.2%. So the worth of this country is increasing. And me and you know that, according to Adam Smith, this is how we measure a worth of a country. So it means that this government is strongly doing well with respect to increasing the worth of this country. A lot. You see, let me clear an issue before you take me to your next point. We are saying that, you see, they are saying, those who are criticizing, I hope maybe to be one of the criticisms, that the government is not spending. Yes. That is why we've seen this, improvement or the favorable macroeconomic indicators.
But they even point to the deficit you quoted.
You see, me and you, and to listeners, this defiles the principle of macroeconomics. This actually defiles the principle of macroeconomics. All those who are listening to me, who have little knowledge about economics, will tell you that government expenditure is an injector. Okay? It's not leakage. If the government has appropriated 293 billion Ghana cedis to be spent within the 2025 fiscal year, it is an injector. It will let this economy grow. It's not taking anything outside the economy. That's very wonderful. They should know. So the assertion of the government not spending that has made this macroeconomic indicators favorable is technically wrong. And practically also wrong. In terms of theory, it's wrong. You see, the government is even staying within the appropriation of 293 billion Ghana cedis. Last time you interviewed me, I told you that my suspicion is that the government will not ask for any additional fund. I hope you remember the last time.
Yes, and he did not.
Yes, and did not. So the government is becoming very careful about even raising more revenue through taxes. We don't want to burden Ghanaians again. But nevertheless, gentlemen, let me say that what we have achieved so far is through proper fiscal credibility measures. We've gained fiscal credibility from the government through the implementation of the fiscal consolidation programs that has made the country move at this level. It's not that we are not spending. You see, let me say by saying that in revenue mobilization, you have to get trust from the people. You tax fairly and spend wisely. You see, you get trust. You tax fairly. You don't tax anyhow. You levy and others to kill the potential of those within the micro, small, and medium enterprises by taxing their capital through electronic payments. This is not fair. This government is not doing that again. So we are taxing fairly. And we are spending wisely. We are spending wisely. We won't go and, spend about $58 million in a national cathedral just for the money to go to go free. We won't go and do what we call transfer payment. You pay for no work done, like the Crown Suite. You understand my point? We won't do that. So we are spending wisely. You see? Nevertheless, gentlemen, the government is spending so much.
I understand that portion, but there's one other criticism they level. They are saying that what you're talking about, they've seen it before, that when they came to power in 2017, even though the improvements may not be in the same magnitude, they saw same improvements. That you cannot say this has never happened, that you're only here because, of course, like they still go back. The matter of expenditure has not gone up.
You see, gentlemen, when we pick the Appropriation Act of 2025, I'm coming to the spending aspect. You see, the government is running compensation obligation, goods and services, earmark funds, capital expenditure, and the rest. Are they telling us we are not spending? We are not paying workers in this country. When we go to appropriation, expenditure is about 73 billion Ghana cedis. Who has come to the government to come and say that the government is not paying us monthly? We are paying. We've appropriated 73 billion Ghana cedis for compensation. Akatua. We are spending. Now, I'm very happy to tell you that apart from the compensation, goods and services, earmark funds, capital expenditure of 32 billion Ghana cedis, the government has picked 114.5 billion Ghana cedis from the consolidated fund. They should tell me it's not true. The MPP should tell me it is not true that the government has presented through the media review that it has taken 114.5 billion Ghana cedis from the Appropriation Act, so appropriation, from the consolidated fund to spend. You see, this is, further explained by paying Eurobonds obligations, domestic bond holders, this Assembly Common Fund, Social Security National Insurance Trust, SNAC, the aspect we are paying, energy sector payment, General Education Trust Fund, Jet Fund. We have released money. Payment of arrears. Free High School, are you not paying them? National Health Insurance Scheme, are you not paying them? Gentlemen, we are not paying, we haven't repaid vaccines and essential medicine. Capitation grants, the lead beneficiaries, school feeding program. You see, I don't know. No fee stress policy. When it's released to the various universities, teacher training allowance, learning training allowance, assembly members allowance. It's paid. First 3 months. It's paid. You see, National Apprenticeship Program, Jumera, a lot. And you were there when the minister said, you overheard the minister saying that this government has recapitalized the NIB.
Yes.
You understand my point? So what kind of expenditure are they talking about? So I'm surprised. So if they have nothing to say, they should keep quiet. Pray for this government so that we can go along with our fiscal monetary policies to help this economy grow. Gentlemen, thank you.
There's one other thing before, because it looks like for the second half of the year, the finance minister has indicated that government will be spending a lot on roads, actually. Would that not have an impact?
Gentlemen, in government spending, you have what we call multiplier effect issues. You see, that's why I'm saying that the MPP took it wrong for saying that the government is not spending because that's the reason we have the favorable economic conditions in this country and what we see in this country. I've told you that government expenditure is an injector. It doesn't leak anything from the economy. It injects funds into the economy. That will have multiplier effect and help the people within the country to consume goods and services produced in the country. Understand my point? So if the government has planned to use the big push of 10.8 billion Ghana cedis to the road sector, what will happen? Contractors are going to be paid this time. When contractors are paid, what happens to them? They can also pay their subcontractors. Subcontractors can employ people in the country, so it will increase employment, direct and indirect employment. You see, that will have effect on traders. That will have effect on those who sell goods and services, because the affordability will be there for people to be able to buy goods and services in the country, thereby increasing the growth of the country. So it has a direct positive effect. Am I okay, gentlemen?
But you must be happy as an MP hearing the minister talk a lot about roads in the media budget review.
I was very happy. And the direction the president has given to the minister responsible for finance is welcoming news. You see, I've been saying that I've monitored questions MPs ask on the floor of Parliament. If you have asked about 100 questions, if you have asked, I'm not saying you asked 100 questions, about 75% of them are roads. So, to me, the president spending so much on roads construction in this country is a welcoming news. That's the cry of the people in this country. So the president has done well for this direction given to the finance minister to spend the 10.8 billion Ghana cedis. That has been earmarked for a big push to only roads. That doesn't mean that other cost centers will not be attended to. Respect to health infrastructure, respect to construction of education infrastructure, and what have you, water and others. But the concentration now is mostly on road construction in this country. I think that one will help, because one of the areas that drives every economy in this country is about roads. It's about roads. So if we are spending so much on roads, I think it's a welcoming news. Thank you.
Honorable, as always, thank you for speaking to us this morning.
Thank you too. Anything, let me know. I'll explain. Okay, thank you.
Honorable Eric Afful is Member of Parliament for Amenfi, where it's always a pleasure talking to him. Chairman, Economy and Development Committee of Parliament, speaking to us on matters of the budget. That's the discussion we're having this morning. One other thing the Finance Minister has been talking about is about what he calls liability management. That's the management of the debt and moving forward some of the steps they'll be taking.
Mr. Speaker, I now take you to Government of Ghana's liability management operations. Mr. Speaker, government has begun an implementation of an effective and efficient liability management program to reduce embedded risk on debt portfolio. Our liability management operation will, 1, reduce debt service costs and mitigate refinancing or rollover risk, extend maturities to alleviate near-term financing pressures, Mr. Speaker, to optimize the debt portfolio by rebalancing the mix of short-term versus long-term instruments and strengthen market confidence. Under our liability management operations, Mr. Speaker, we will analyze the domestic bond market to assess suitability for bonds buybacks. We will carefully sequence issuance of benchmark securities and prioritize longer-dated tenor to establish a stable yield curve. Mr. Speaker, I take you to primary dealers and bond market specialist system as we inherited. Mr. Speaker, our debt management strategy is to use treasury bills for cash management purposes only. We intend to reopen the domestic bond market to finance the budget deficit. The reopening of the domestic bond market will aim at creating a more competitive primary market that can deliver the volume and pricing to enable the government lower its borrowing costs. So, Speaker, beginning August 2025, we will commence the selection of new book runners to assist government in the reopening of the domestic bond market. Mr. Speaker, for emphasis, beginning 2025 August, the government of Ghana will commence the selection of new book runners to assist government in the reopening of the domestic bond market. Mr. Speaker, the selection of book runners will focus on banks and investment dealers with the ability to achieve a wider market distribution and advice on pricing and structuring. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to revised macroeconomic framework. Mr. Speaker, macroeconomic target. Economic development in the first half of the year do not warrant a revision to the macroeconomic target and the appropriations bill. Mr. Speaker, I am not asking for additional money from the Appropriations Act. We maintain the following macroeconomic target for 2025. 1. Overall GDP growth at least 4.0%.
Abusuane say we no Ghana for to some for so for ono ene hwe sika sem so okase mpuna na epu Dr. Castle Atoba Forcing aka Ato CD na peke Ato is forcing na wotwetwe mu media budget review ne nsem a wode tu dwa no ene busua ya boroboro ensem no bi eso ewa ha Kunun Ghana Limited for edi adru bi aba na memadru Uye bema na wa emere wo mpamu a sa duro no ene beboa wo ma wa hoɔden no asan ababio enti bema wo sisi no kotodwe aye mmere unim se dwumadi no so de ejina sisie ene kotodwe no eso enti aye mmere a na wo se wo pe Mr. Q aduro no ebi bema enkan no na hoɔden pa sesese no de uye ya na oda ya team keja Mr. Q aduro no ene beboa wo upe bi ato a pharmacy, chemical shop, and as a bar shop be a ben Buraho, Benya Mr. Q Adoni be ato. Frame 24, Kunun Ghana Limited for 0244 139 176. 0244 139 176. And I say 0274 139 176. 0274 139 176. Mr. Q, or see a Bema Precope. Mr. Q, be a real man.
Thank you. Let's go over the phone lines once again. Speak to an organization management expert, Dr. Justice Salif.